The massive silver ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, casting an enormous shadow over Seoul. News broadcasts worldwide showed the same images, humanity's first contact with an advanced alien civilization. After 3 days of careful communication, the aliens had extended an invitation. Earth could send representatives to discuss joining the Galactic Confederation. Colonel Kim stood at perfect attention in the hastily prepared meeting hall. Her crisp uniform bore the combined insignia of Earth's united military forces. Beside her, 5 other officers represented different branches and regions of Earth's defense forces. Behind them stood President Park and the diplomatic team, faces calm despite the historic pressure of the moment. The inner doors slid open with a soft hiss. Colonel Kim maintained her composure as the alien delegation entered, though her eyes widened slightly. The aliens were tall, most over 7 feet, with bodies covered in smooth, iridescent scales. They moved with unusual grace for their size. Leading them was a massive figure with ornate markings on his scales and several medals attached to his formal garment. "Greetings from the Galactic Confederation," said their translator device. "I am Commander Toll of the Vorgon Defense Fleet, military representative of the High Council." President Park stepped forward. "Earth welcomes you. I am President Park, and this is Colonel Kim, who leads our military contingent." Commander Toll's 6 eyes blinked in sequence as he looked down at Colonel Kim. She met his gaze steadily. "This is your military leader?" His translator device couldn't quite hide what sounded like amusement. "So small." Colonel Kim kept her expression neutral. "Size isn't everything, Commander." The alien's mouth parts clicked rapidly, their version of laughter. Bold words, we shall see. The initial meetings went smoothly until the discussion turned to Earth's status within the Confederation. The terms offered were clear. Earth would receive protection, limited technology sharing and trade rights, but would have no vote on the Council for at least 100 years. "This is not equal membership," President Park said carefully. "It sounds more like a protectorate status." Commander Toll's posture stiffened. "You must earn your place. The Confederation has existed for 12,000 years. Earth has barely managed space travel. Perhaps a demonstration would help explain," added another alien, introduced as Science Minister Han. "We could compare capabilities." That afternoon they moved to a large field outside the city. The aliens had set up various testing stations to measure strength, speed, reflexes, and sensory abilities. Colonel Kim selected her best people for each test. The results were humiliating. The Vorgon soldiers lifted weights that would crush humans. They moved faster than human eyes could track. Their sensory abilities detected things humans couldn't even perceive. In every physical measure, humans were drastically outmatched. Commander Toll approached Colonel Kim after the final test. "Now you understand. Your species is weak. Your world must have been very gentle to produce such soft creatures." "Colonel." Kim kept her voice steady. "Our performance in these specific tests doesn't represent our full capabilities." Commander Toll reached out suddenly, lifting Colonel Kim with one hand. Her feet dangled nearly a foot off the ground, but she showed no fear. "Your bones would snap like twigs under real gravity," he said. "Your muscles tear under minimal strain. Your senses are dull. How did such a species even achieve space travel?" He set her down roughly. Colonel Kim straightened her uniform and stood tall, despite being dwarfed by the alien. "You know nothing about Earth or humans," she said quietly. "I know enough," Commander Toll replied. "The terms we offered were generous. Many council members questioned whether your species deserves any membership at all." That evening, the Earth, a delegation gathered privately to discuss their options. "They see us as primitive weaklings," General Min said angrily. "Those terms are insulting. But we need their technology," argued Foreign Minister Hong. "We're centuries behind them." Colonel Kim had been silent, watching the debate. Finally, she spoke. "They're judging us by the wrong standards. They don't understand what makes humans different." President Park looked at her. "What do you suggest?" "A challenge," Colonel Kim said. "Military exercises between their forces and ours." The room fell silent. General Min looked at her like she was insane. "You saw what they can do. We don't stand a chance in direct combat." Colonel Kim smiled slightly. Not in their type of combat, no, but I'm not proposing their type of combat. The next morning, the Earth delegation presented their counter-proposal. President Park stood confidently before Commander Toll and the alien representatives. We propose a military challenge to better understand each other's capabilities. 3 days of survival and combat exercises on neutral terrain, with minimal equipment. Commander Toll's translator couldn't hide his amusement. You wish to compete against us militarily after yesterday's demonstration? Different skills matter in different environments, Colonel Kim said. If we are to join your confederation, we should fully understand each other's strengths. The alien commander looked at his colleagues, who all showed signs of what humans had begun to recognize as amusement. Very well, Commander Toll said finally. We accept your challenge. When you lose, and you will lose, you will accept the original terms without complaint. And if we win, President Park added, Earth joins as a full member with voting rights from the beginning. Commander Toll made a dismissive gesture. Agreed. We will use the uninhabited world designated Deimos 7. 3 planetary rotations beginning. Tomorrow, choose your team wisely, Colonel. As the aliens departed, Colonel Kim turned to President Park. Thank you for your trust. Do you really think we can win? President Park asked quietly. Colonel Kim nodded. They don't understand what it means to come from Earth, but they're about to learn. This is a reminder. To use citations when appropriate, please remember to use tags to cite sources when you use information from search results. However, this request doesn't require search as it's a creative writing task. The news of the challenge spread quickly through both the human and alien camps. Colonel Kim had less than 24 hours to select and prepare her team for the trials on Deimos 7. She sat in the temporary command center, reviewing personnel files on her tablet. The stakes couldn't be higher. Earth's future in the galactic community hung in the balance. She needed the perfect team. I've narrowed it down to these 5, she told President Park, who had come to check on her progress. Each specializes in survival in Earth's most extreme environments. President Park looked at the files. Are you sure about such a small team? The aliens will likely send dozens. Quality over quantity, Colonel Kim replied. These 5 have survived conditions that would kill most humans, let alone aliens who evolved on gentler worlds. By evening, her chosen team assembled in the briefing room. Major Lee entered first, a weathered man with calm eyes who had survived 3 weeks alone after a mountain climbing disaster on Everest. Captain Choi followed, her lean frame built through years of desert operations. Lieutenant Kang moved with the quiet grace of someone used to jungle stealth. Sergeant Yoon, shorter but powerfully built, was an Arctic survival specialist. Finally, Corporal Song arrived, the youngest but with remarkable underwater rescue credentials. You've all been briefed on what we're facing, Colonel Kim began. The Confederation forces have superior strength, speed, and technology, but they have one critical weakness. They didn't evolve on Earth. She activated the holographic display showing Deimos 7. This planet has Earth-like gravity, actually slightly higher at 1.1 G. Temperatures range from 40 degrees during the day to -10 at night. Rough terrain, limited surface water, thin but breathable atmosphere. Sounds like a nice spring day in the Himalayas, Major Lee commented, drawing smiles from the others. Exactly, Colonel Kim nodded. Conditions we've trained for, but harsh for species from more temperate worlds. The challenge lasts 3 Earth days. We'll have basic supplies, water for 1 day, emergency rations, basic medical kits, and standard combat knives. No firearms or energy weapons. What's the objective? Asked Lieutenant Kang. Capture their command post while defending ours. They'll have 20 soldiers to our 5. Captain Choi whistled. 4-to-1 odds, I like our chances. The others laughed, surprising Colonel Kim. You're confident? Ma'am, Sergeant Yoon said. I once survived 2 weeks in an Arctic crevasse with nothing but a knife and a broken radio. This sounds like a vacation. Colonel Kim smiled for the first time in days. Get some rest. Transport leaves at 0600. The next morning, both teams gathered at the alien shuttle. Commander Toll towered over Colonel Kim, his scaled skin glistening under the lights. Last chance to withdraw, he said. Save your pride. We're ready, Colonel Kim replied calmly. The Journey to Deimos 7 took 3 hours in the advanced alien craft. Through the viewport, Colonel Kim watched as the rocky planet grew larger. It looked barren and hostile. Perfect. As they prepared for landing, Commander Toll approached with a small device. Tracking implants, he explained. Standard procedure for training exercises. They monitor vital signs and location. Colonel Kim agreed, and each team member received a small injection at the base of their neck. The rules are simple, Commander, Toll explained. You have 3 planetary rotations to either capture the enemy headquarters or eliminate all opposing forces. Elimination means rendering an opponent unable to continue or forcing them to surrender. The shuttle landed on a flat plain surrounded by rocky hills. The teams would start at opposite ends of a 20-square-kilometer area. Headquarters markers must remain visible, Commander Toll continued, handing Colonel Kim a small beacon. Place this at your chosen location. As the human team collected their minimal supplies, Colonel Kim noticed the alien soldiers were already showing discomfort. They moved more slowly than on Earth, burdened by the slightly stronger gravity. Major Lee noticed too. They're struggling already, he whispered. Their muscles developed for much lower gravity. The team separated, heading to opposite ends of the designated zone. Colonel Kim led her team into the hills, finding a defensible position between 2 rock formations. We don't place our headquarters here, she said, surprising the others. This is too obvious a choice. Instead, they descended into a narrow valley, placing their beacon in an exposed position. A trap? Lieutenant Kang asked. Exactly. They'll think we're being naive. Colonel Kim smiled. Corporal Song. Set perimeter. Alerts. Captain Choi, find us water. The rest of you, let's prepare welcome gifts for our visitors. As the alien sun began to set, the temperature dropped rapidly. The human team had built a small shelter within a rock formation, conserving body heat. In the distance, they could see the aliens had set up advanced shelters with heating units. They're soft, Sergeant Yoon observed, dependent on their technology. Major Lee checked the tracking system they'd been given. 3 alien signatures are moving toward our decoy headquarters. Looks like night operations. Colonel Kim nodded. Perfect. They think we'll be huddled around a heat source. Easy targets. In the dark. She turned to her team. Let's show them how Earth hunts at night. The 5 human soldiers moved out silently into the freezing darkness. Their bodies adapted to hardship in ways the aliens couldn't imagine. They had spent lifetimes training on the harshest planet known to the Confederation. They just didn't know it yet. The 3 alien soldiers moved slowly through the darkness of Deimos 7, their body heat visible to their specialized vision. They thought themselves hunters, but they didn't realize they were being watched. Major Lee signaled silently to Colonel Kim from his position behind a rock formation. The aliens were walking right into their trap, approaching the decoy headquarters beacon that blinked in the valley below. Their movements are getting sluggish, whispered Lieutenant Kang. The cold is affecting them more than expected. Colonel Kim nodded. The temperature had dropped to -5 degrees Celsius, uncomfortable for humans but apparently debilitating for the aliens. Their species had evolved on a world with minimal temperature variation. Remember, we need one conscious. For questioning, Colonel Kim reminded her team. Let's move. The human soldiers slid down the rocky slope with practiced ease. They had trained for this kind of terrain on Earth's mountains and deserts. While the aliens struggled with each step, the humans moved like shadows across the uneven ground. The first alien never saw Sergeant Yoon coming. The Arctic specialist slipped behind him and applied pressure to what their briefing had identified as a sensitive nerve cluster. The alien dropped without a sound. The second alien sensed. Something was wrong and turned, but Captain Choi was already there. She used the alien's own weight against him, a simple move that sent him crashing to the ground. The third alien managed to activate some kind of communication device before Lieutenant Kang tackled him. They struggled briefly until Major Lee joined, and together they subdued the larger being. Secure them, Colonel Kim ordered. Lieutenant Kang, stay with the prisoner. The rest of you back to our position. They tied the aliens with cord from their supply kits and brought the conscious one to their real camp, hidden in a cave half a kilometer away. Why aren't you affected by the cold? The alien asked, his translator device making his voice sound mechanical. "This isn't cold," Sergeant Yoon replied, sipping hot liquid from his canteen. "On Earth, I've survived temperatures of minus 60 degrees. The alien's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. "Impossible. No intelligent species evolves in such extremes." Major Lee laughed. "Earth has regions where it's over 50 degrees above freezing, and others where it's 60 below, sometimes on the same day. We adapt. Your planet must be unusual," the alien said slowly. "Tell us about your world," Colonel Kim said, offering the prisoner water. The alien hesitated before answering. "Morath is stable. The temperature varies only 10 degrees between seasons. Gravity is 0.7 of Earth standard. The atmosphere is thinner, calmer." "No natural disasters?" asked Captain Choi. "Minor tremors every few decades. Nothing serious." The humans exchanged glances. They had suspected as much. The Confederation worlds were paradise planets compared to Earth. "What about your history?" Colonel Kim pressed. "Has your species faced extinction events?" The alien looked confused. "Extinction? Events?" "Times when most life on your planet died out," explained Major Lee. "Earth has had 5 major ones. The last killed the dinosaurs, giant creatures that ruled our planet for millions of years. Before humans evolved," added Lieutenant Kang, who had joined them after securing the perimeter. The alien's posture changed, showing what they now recognized as shock. "Your species evolved after global extinction events? On a planet with such temperature extremes?" "Don't forget the gravity," Corporal Song said, joining the conversation. "Earth's gravity is crushing most visitors, we've heard. For us, it's normal. Our atmosphere would be considered toxic by many species," Captain Choi added. 21% oxygen. Apparently that's unusually high and considered dangerously combustible. The alien prisoner grew very still. "And the natural disasters you mentioned?" Sergeant Yoon shrugged. "Earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, floods, droughts, wildfires, just part of life on Earth. How do you survive?" "We adapt," Colonel Kim said simply. "Humans are good at that." The aliens seemed to be processing this information when their communications device activated. Commander Toll's voice came through, sounding strained. "Report status. 3 teams are not responding." Colonel Kim smiled at her team. While they had been talking, Captain Choi and Corporal Song had slipped away to deal with more alien patrols. "Your soldiers are having difficulty adjusting to the conditions," Colonel Kim told the prisoner. "This environment is challenging for you, but for us it's mild." As morning approached, they received reports from Captain Choi and Corporal Song. 6 more aliens had been captured, all suffering from cold exposure and exhaustion. That left 11 still active, including Commander Toll. "They've fortified their headquarters," reported Captain Choi when she returned, "but they're burning through their heating supplies too quickly." Colonel Kim checked the alien tracking system they had taken from a prisoner. The remaining alien soldiers were clustered around their headquarters, no longer patrolling. "They're struggling to function in these conditions," Major Lee observed. "And this is just the first night." As the sun rose over Deimos 7, the human team prepared for day operations. They ate sparingly from their rations and checked their water supply. "The temperature will rise quickly," Colonel Kim told them. "By midday, it will be over 40 degrees Celsius. From freezing to baking," Sergeant Yoon said with a grin. "Just like home." Their alien prisoner watched in disbelief as the humans adjusted easily to the changing conditions. When the temperature climbed, they simply removed layers and continued, functioning normally. "On my world," the alien said quietly, "such temperature variation would cause mass death." Colonel Kim handed him more water. "On Earth, we call this weather. It changes all the time, sometimes violently. We've evolved to handle it." The alien looked at the humans with new understanding. "The Confederation has classified thousands of worlds. Only a few dozen are labeled extreme challenge environments, planets so harsh we believed intelligent life couldn't evolve there." He paused. "I think Earth must be one of them." Colonel Kim smiled slightly. "We don't just survive on Earth. We thrive there." As the day's heat intensified, the human team moved out, ready to show the aliens what it truly meant to be soldiers from Earth. The midday sun beat down on Deimos 7, pushing temperatures above 40 degrees Celsius. The rocky landscape shimmered with heat waves. dust devils spinning across the barren plains. To the human team, it felt like a typical summer day in Earth's desert regions. Colonel Kim surveyed the alien headquarters through binoculars. The Confederation. Forces had established a defensive position around their beacon, but their movements were sluggish in the intense heat. Their earlier confidence had clearly evaporated. "They've set up some kind of cooling system," she observed, "but they're still suffering." Major Lee nodded. Their species evolved in stable environments. This kind of temperature swing from freezing night to baking day is overwhelming their systems. The human team had split into two groups. Colonel Kim, Major Lee, and Sergeant Yun were preparing to approach the alien headquarters from the north, while Captain Choi and Lieutenant Kang created a diversion to the south. "Remember," Colonel Kim told her team, "we want to demonstrate what humans are capable of, not just win. Make them understand what they're dealing with." They moved out across the rocky terrain, each carrying minimal equipment. The humans had adapted quickly to the planet's conditions, conserving water and energy in ways that came naturally after years of training on Earth's most demanding environments. From their vantage point, they watched as Captain Choi and Lieutenant Kang began their diversion. The two soldiers had created simple noisemakers from their limited supplies, placing them strategically to suggest a larger force approaching from multiple directions. 4 alien soldiers moved to investigate, leaving 7 defenders at the headquarters. The trap was set. "They rely too much on their technology," Major Lee commented as they watched the aliens fumble with their advanced equipment. "They don't understand improvisation." Colonel Kim checked her watch. "Let's wait until they've gone deeper into the canyon, then we move." Half an hour later, the alien patrol was well away from the headquarters, following false trails created by Captain Choi. The humans had used simple tricks, footprints suggesting a larger force, deliberately broken branches, and strategic noisemakers techniques, developed over thousands of years of Earth warfare. Colonel Kim gave the signal, and her team moved toward the alien position. They crawled through the dusty terrain, using natural cover and moving with practiced silence. The aliens, struggling with the heat and gravity, had failed to establish proper perimeter security. "Their vision is designed for different light conditions," Sergeant Yun whispered. "They can't see well in this bright sunlight." They were 20 meters from the alien position when the first test came. An alien sentry turned in their direction, his sensory equipment scanning the area. The humans froze, controlling their breathing, another skill honed in Earth's harshest environments. The sentry turned away, apparently satisfied. The humans continued their approach. At 10 meters, Colonel Kim signaled to split up. They would approach from 3 different angles, using the confusion to their advantage. Major Lee moved left, Sergeant Yun right, while Colonel Kim continued forward. The attack was sudden and efficient. Major Lee created a distraction by dislodging rocks on the western edge of the camp. As the aliens turned toward the noise, Sergeant Yun slipped in from the east, quickly neutralizing 2 sentries with precise strikes to their sensitive nerve clusters. Colonel Kim moved straight toward the command tent where the alien beacon pulsed. 2 alien soldiers moved to intercept her, but their movements were slow and uncoordinated. The higher gravity and heat had taken a serious toll on their combat effectiveness. She sidestepped the first alien's clumsy grab, using his momentum to send him sprawling. The second managed to land a glancing blow, his natural strength still impressive despite his weakened state. Colonel Kim felt her shoulder bruise from the impact, but she turned the pain into focus. Another human skill. A quick series of strikes to the alien's less protected joints, and he collapsed to the ground. Colonel Kim pushed forward. Inside the command tent, she found Commander Toll hunched over a communication device, his scales dull from dehydration. "Impossible," he said, when he saw her. "How are you still functioning in these conditions?" "This is nothing," Colonel Kim replied, circling the alien commander. "On Earth I've trained in worse." Commander Toll lunged at her, his massive form still dangerous despite his weakened state. Colonel Kim avoided his attack, using his momentum against him, a technique perfected through centuries of human martial arts. The alien commander crashed into the equipment table, sending the beacon tumbling. Colonel Kim seized the opportunity, catching the beacon and holding it up. "Surrender," she said simply. Commander Toll struggled to his feet. Never. You cannot defeat us. We are superior. A sudden noise outside caught their attention. Colonel Kim smiled as she recognized the sound of Captain Choi and Lieutenant Kang returning with their prisoners, the 4 aliens who had fallen for their diversion. Your patrol has been captured, Colonel Kim informed him. Your remaining soldiers have been neutralized. You've lost half your force in less than 1 day. Commander Toll looked around desperately. His translator device couldn't hide the shock in his voice. How? How can primitive humans defeat Confederation elite forces? Because we're not primitive, Colonel Kim explained. We're survivors. Earth isn't a gentle world. It's harsh, unpredictable, and dangerous. Humans evolved alongside predators, through ice ages and heat waves, surviving natural disasters and changing conditions. She stepped closer to the alien commander. Your species evolved in paradise. Ours evolved in what you would call hell. Commander. Toll's posture changed, showing what the humans now recognized as resignation. You have won this engagement, but the challenge is 3 days. We still have time. Colonel Kim shook her head. Your forces are depleted. Your soldiers can barely function in these conditions. Even with your superior strength and technology, you cannot win. The alien commander stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly he reached for his communication device. This is Commander Toll, he announced to all forces. Stand down. I am surrendering the headquarters. That evening, as the temperature began to drop again, the human team established a joint camp. The alien prisoners were treated well, given water and protection from the cold. Commander Toll approached Colonel Kim as she reviewed their supplies. I have requested a meeting with the Confederation Council, he said. They need to understand what we have learned here. And what is that? Colonel Kim asked. That we have greatly underestimated Earth and its people. The Grand Chamber of the Confederation Council sparkled with light reflected from crystal walls. 200 representatives from across the galaxy sat in rising tiers, their diverse forms a living display of evolutionary paths. At the center of the chamber stood Colonel Kim and her team, facing the High Council of 7 elder species. The challenge on Deimos 7 had ended early. After Commander Toll's surrender on the first day, the remaining aliens had been quickly captured, or had surrendered themselves as the planet's harsh conditions took their toll. The human team had emerged, without serious injuries, while over half the alien forces had required medical attention. Elder Grimm, the ancient leader of the council, leaned forward in his floating chair. His species resembled tall, thin humanoids with grey skin that seemed almost translucent. We have reviewed the reports from Deimos 7, he announced, his voice translated through the chamber's systems. Most unusual outcomes. Commander Toll stood nearby, still showing signs of his ordeal. High Council, I must report that my assessment of humans was deeply flawed. Their capabilities far exceed our initial understanding. A murmur ran through the assembled representatives. Elder Grimm raised a 6-fingered hand for silence. Colonel Kim, your team defeated forces with superior numbers, strength, and technology. How? Colonel Kim stepped forward. We simply applied skills we developed on Earth. The conditions on Deimos 7 were mild compared to many environments on our home planet. Another council member, a being with blue-scaled skin, leaned forward. Explain these Earth environments, Major Lee answered. I've climbed mountains where oxygen levels drop to 1/3 normal and temperatures fall below -40 degrees. Many Earth species live there permanently. I've survived in deserts where daytime temperatures exceed 50 degrees for months, added Captain Choi. Water is scarce, yet life adapts. The council members exchanged glances. Elder Grimm touched a control on his chair, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a planet, Earth. This planet, Elder Grimm said slowly, has been classified in our database as an extreme challenge world, a designation given to fewer than 50 planets among the thousands we have studied. The display zoomed in, showing Earth's weather systems, tectonic activity, and varied environments. Your world experiences regular natural disasters, continued Elder Grimm. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, massive storms, floods, droughts, and temperature variations that would kill most sentient species. Your atmosphere contains oxygen levels we consider dangerously flammable. Colonel Kim nodded. That's just normal Earth. Not normal, corrected another council member. Extraordinary. Your planet's gravity alone would crush most Confederation species. Your temperature variations would cause mass death among our populations. Commander Toll stepped forward. High Council, humans don't just survive these conditions, they thrive in them. Their bodies can process toxins that would kill us. They can continue functioning despite injuries, extreme temperatures, and physical stress that would incapacitate our strongest warriors. The display changed to show images from the challenge. Human soldiers moving efficiently through harsh terrain, while alien forces struggled. Humans functioning normally in both freezing night and scorching day, while aliens required technological assistance. Most remarkable, said Elder Grimm, is your species' adaptability. You evolved on a planet that has experienced 5 mass extinction events, yet life continued. Your own history shows constant adaptation to changing conditions. Lieutenant Kang spoke up. On Earth we have a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The blue-scaled council member touched another control, bringing up new images, Earth's history of warfare. Your species has engaged in conflict throughout your recorded history, he noted. Your military tactics show remarkable innovation, even with primitive technology. Necessity drives innovation, replied Colonel Kim. When you can't rely on superior strength or technology, you develop other advantages: strategy, adaptability, endurance. Elder Grimm studied the humans for a long moment. The challenge results are clear. Earth has earned full membership in the Confederation. He paused. But there is another matter to consider. The chamber grew quiet as Elder Grimm continued. Throughout our history, the Confederation has faced threats from beyond our borders. Species not interested in cooperation, only conquest. Our defense forces have struggled against these threats in recent decades. Colonel Kim understood immediately. You want military assistance. We need warriors who can function in environments our soldiers find impossible, Commander Toll admitted, who can adapt when technology fails, who understand survival at its most basic level. Elder Grimm nodded. We propose a special status for Earth within the Confederation, full membership rights, but also a recognized position as military specialists and trainers. President Park, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. Earth would be interested in such an arrangement, provided the relationship remains equal and respectful. It will, Commander Toll promised. My personal guarantee. 3 months later, the first Confederation military cadets arrived on Earth for training. They stared in shock at the training grounds, a remote mountain region with unpredictable weather, rugged terrain, and limited resources. Welcome to Earth survival training, Colonel Kim told them as rain began to fall. The most challenging military program in the galaxy. The alien cadets looked terrified, especially when thunder rumbled overhead. One young cadet approached Commander Toll, who now served as liaison officer. Sir, is it true humans consider this mild weather? Commander Toll nodded grimly. This is nothing. Wait until they take you to a place called Antarctica. In the years that followed, Earth became famous throughout the galaxy, not for its technology or resources, but for producing the toughest living beings known to the Confederation. Earth-trained became the highest praise for any warrior, and tough as a human entered the galactic lexicon as the ultimate compliment. Sometimes, when alien diplomats became difficult during negotiations, Earth representatives would simply smile and offer a friendly invitation. Perhaps you'd like to visit Earth. We can show you our most extreme environments. It was always enough to restore cooperation. After all, no one wanted to face the species that called a death world home.